pledge allegiance
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comment. To receive oral communications from members of the public may address the select board for up to 3 minutes, longer with the permission of the chairperson. The select board shall not engage in discussion on topics raised during public comment, but may choose to add the topic to a future agenda. This agenda segment will be limited to 15 minutes unless extended at the discretion of the chairperson. Anyone for public comment? Mr. Mangin.
Steve Mangin on 14th Street. I noticed on the agenda that there's a proposal to be funded by an anonymous donor to resurface the area on the east side of the bridge onto Plum Island. I oppose it for a couple reasons. I hope you'll oppose it too when it comes up for a vote. Number one, it's just said to be an anonymous donor. And to me, it's one thing when it's a small dollar thing, like the Council on Aging, where someone might want to give $5 or $10 or whatever anonymously. That's pretty straightforward. But this one is a more significant project, both in terms of expanse and dollar-wise. And I think that really should be clear in terms of who is funding this, to make sure there are no conflicts of interest. I could make up hypothetical scenarios, but I don't want to get into that game of saying. Anyway, so the anonymous donor part concerns me. It's also not clear who owns the property. It may be the state, it may be the town, and if the town doesn't control that property, I think it's improper for the town to be resurfacing or having to take on maintaining that area, since it's not, unless it is town-owned property, then you can decide to perhaps approve it or not. Though I think the idea of using recycled hot top or recycled concrete isn't necessarily the best kind of material to put next to the saltwater marsh, where there'll be inevitably there'll be runoff from there going into the marsh. And I'm not sure whether concrete or hot top is worse, to use that phrase, but I think that deserves careful consideration from you as well as the Conservation Commission. Finally, if you do decide to go ahead or approve the project, I presume that's going to be because the town has control of that property. And if you do, speaking as a resident on Plum Island, I hope you make it resident parking only. If you've been around during the hot season that we've had for the past couple days, you'll see that the island is, shall we say, full up with people. And it'd be good, in my opinion, if residents of Newbury had access to an area like that, as opposed to making it open to one and all. The town already provides parking on Sunset Drive for non-residents. There are many private lots as well, but I don't think the town should be encouraging non-resident parking on what is, after all, unless we forget it, ultimately a residential area. You know, this is my home, and having a home area and having more and more cars coming down onto the island and parking and people and the impact on the barrier island, I think it's appropriate to try and at least limit it to the residents and citizens of Newbury. So I hope you vote no, but I'm sure there'll be more discussion.
Steve, thanks. I can't comment now, but when we get to that point, I think I can answer and clarify some of the questions and concerns.
Right, and I appreciate, Mr. Chair, and unfortunately I may be leaving in short order. I know you've got a rather hefty agenda, but thank you.
Anyone else? Citizen concerns? Okay, hearing none. Gifts, grants, and donations. Approval on behalf of the Council on Aging to accept a donation of $10 from Jack Rybicki.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Approval on behalf of the Council on Aging to accept a donation of $20 from Sue Hay, excuse me.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
acceptance of state 911 support and incentive grant fiscal year 26, award of $46,908.
Motion to accept state 9/11 support and incentive grant.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Acceptance of the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation Quality of Life Grant Award of $11,175.
Motion to accept the Quality of Life Grant Award of $11,175.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, new business. When Dana was here last time, citizen concerns at our last meeting, he asked to be put on the agenda for his proposal of coming up with a Veterans Committee. So, Dana, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to thank all of you for just allowing this the discussion just to happen. I think that everybody would really appreciate that. I think you all know Frank. Frank is here in support of this. There's been other people that have reached out to me, Bernie Fields, for one. Bob Breaker is the Rowley chair of the Rowley entity that I'm trying to propose and build here. And he has reached out to me to help with some of the decision-making process. What I've handed you all is I prepared a mission statement for what I feel this committee should do. And one thing I want to emphasize is that what I don't want to do is I don't want to take anything away from anybody that's doing things already for our veterans. What this committee, what I want to propose is to assist those people in doing what they're already doing, not to take over, not to take charge. And there's a lot of things that in designing the committee and building it is going to benefit all of those other people that are helping out, supporting our veterans, whether it be the COA, whether it be food donations, so on and so forth. So that being said, I'm not gonna read the whole mission statement. It's like 3 pages long. It's probably too inclusive. I kind of threw it together, and I think that once the committee gets formed and we have a board, we are certainly going to revisit this and talk. Well, I say we because I might not even be on the board, but I'm just going to say the board is going to revisit this mission statement, and I'm sure it's going to get probably condensed a little bit and refined and so on and so forth. Things that I know I've never formed a committee before, and I know that some of you have, some of you haven't. So I don't really know exactly what I'm doing, but I do expect that you guys can be a lot of help in making this happen. Rowley has set up a town account for donations, and Rowley is also a 501c3, so that those donations can be accepted, tax exempt. I think that that's probably an important piece of this because, again, we want to be able to fund the veterans, the resources, whether it be monument upgrades or rebuilding or new monuments or trying to, help the COA create luncheons and pay for those luncheons. I think that's going to be an important piece of this. My next point I want to talk about is the organizational chart of the board itself, or the committee itself, the number of members that we should have and alternates possibly to that board. I have a couple of things that some of the other towns have done. This, I think, is Wenham, and the membership there is, up to 9 members, preferably veterans. I actually would like to invite anyone to serve on this board, because I think that that's important so that the people who are not veterans understand what veterans are all about. So I would encourage non-veterans to submit emails or or snail mail to the board for appointments to this committee. And then what they did in Wenham, for example, is one selectman or select person, would be, they call it an ex-officio, which I don't even know what that means, but I think I know what it means, and that would certainly be an engagement that I would like to see also, so that we have, communication back and forth between ourselves. So a couple of other things, we talked about the number of members, the alternates, the calendar. I've always been, with the Eastern Essex vets, it's like I've always tried to push that we need like one centralized calendar where a veteran can look at that calendar and they know everything that's going on. Possibly, not only with the 6 towns that Eastern Essex Vets represents, but also with Newburyport. And like the Elks, the Newburyport Elks does a tremendous amount for our veterans. We're Newbury's invited there quite often for different events. So one of my main focuses, I think, for the committee would be having a calendar that's all-inclusive, where you can just look at it and you know everything that's going on all around Essex. And that, now I'm getting into some of the details about how to put this together. I know that Alicia in the past has, on the town website, we're gonna have to promote it. We're gonna have to have people apply to be here on this committee. I don't think getting volunteers is gonna be really difficult. I can reach out to a lot of different people. I've already, like I said, I've already reached out to Bernie Fields and a few others, and Bernie was all for it. He thinks that this is a great idea. So, requirements for serving, I talked about that already. I would accept anybody to this committee. The email or snail mail requirements and showing up for the appointments. I think we've talked about this in the past. I think that anybody who wants to serve on this committee, first off, they have to submit in writing, whether it be an email or a snail mail, a request to be on this committee. And then when the appointments are gonna come up, I think that they ought to be here in person, because it's a brand-new committee and we wanna get that face time with them. Meeting times and locations, most of the meetings are quarterly, so we probably have one per quarter, but that would be something that once the board is established and we get together and we get the organizational chart going, we can talk about that. And then at the very end, maybe someday there'd be a possible permanent location for this committee to reside. So that's what I'm proposing, and that's about all I have. Frank, is there anything you want to add?
Yes, please. Frank Bertolino, Maple Terrace, here in Newbury.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. Dana Packer, 227 Middle Road, so sorry about that.
I think the most important part of this is veterans like to be with veterans. They don't. A lot of veterans don't always enjoy mingling with non-veterans or at different events. Veterans like to be with veterans. A lot of veterans that we have in our community, we have a great VSO, Veteran Service Officer, but they don't get the. I think they'd rather come to a committee and hang out, ask questions, joke, have some fun, and walk away feeling like they just left the barracks. And I think that's really important. As far as fundraising, maybe there's some state money that we could chase after. We could always talk to Senator Tarr about that, or our town could chase after that. But I think it's to be local businesses, local residents that can donate to this, and we can go ahead and we can have different events, not just meeting maybe every quarter, but have an event in between there, have a place to hang out, to come visit. I think that's important. I see what happens in Newburyport, I see what happens in Raleigh. But as far as the calendar goes, I think it'd be great if they could come on to our town calendar and see different events in different communities. They're feeling a little lonely today, look it up, maybe be able to go to Raleigh, or Newbury, or wherever it might be, West Newbury, to be with their brothers and sisters. I think it's important. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Any questions? Jeff, any questions?
Question statement. Dana, it should come from you, it should be driven by you, and it should be put together by you, or Frank and you together. And that, because, it almost sounds like it's shifting this way and it should come from the grassroots. So, and it'll be a lot of work, but, even whatever it takes, it's
Well,
good manner.
I'm sorry, but I can assure you, I will be submitting an email to be appointed to the committee, so that will put the ball in your court.
Alicia?
You said, or I heard, and I don't know if I heard it correctly, that Rowley has something like this?
Yes, as a matter of fact, the VFW, the old VFW building, near, what's the restaurant, the Bradford Tavern? They own that building now. The Rowley Veterans Committee, that building was donated to them.
So the Rowley Veterans Committee, are they a branch of the town of Rowley, or are they their own independent 501c3?
I don't know.
They're 501c3, so my guess is they're their own entity.
Yeah, okay. Because that matters.
Right.
That's what I was gonna pick up on too, because I wasn't sure if it was a town committee, could a town committee also be a nonprofit at the same time, which is what I think you said, Dana. But I'm sure, it's to be looked at, I understand that.
Right.
I think this is an excellent idea, I really do, and I think that, I think it just needs to be like ferreted out a little bit more, the details. Perhaps it doesn't have to wait to be formed as a committee, it could come under like the Council on Aging for now, and kind of like, and I don't know if we can do this, but in my head, I'm just spitballing here. Think about a group of veterans that's come together, I'm saying the Council on Aging, but it could be the library, it could be anywhere, and just start, with ideas, because like parades, for instance, we don't have anything that does that, and we don't have anything on Veterans Day, we don't have anything on Memorial, and that has to be like from the ground up, and I think that's what this is gonna start. That's at least what my understanding is.
I've got different thoughts that are going through my head as we're talking about this. And like what Frank alluded to is, when you go to like a luncheon, it's put on by like the COA, it's the Veterans Luncheon. That's really not, I have found, I've been to many of them, and that's really not the environment where veterans wanna stand up and talk about, what their wants and needs are. And like what Frank was talking about, it's like, what I want to do is I want to try and give them an avenue to some place where they can reach out to with their concerns and what they want to do, and how that what's more important to them, Memorial Day or Veterans Day or all of the above, or let them guide us to let us know what they need and what they want.
Unique to the town of Newbury, you mean? Specific to the town of Newbury, I should say.
Yes, exactly. It's specific to the town of Newbury.
Thank you.
Patrick?
Yeah, just thinking when you talked about having that calendar that captures everybody in the Essex, it makes complete sense, like there's that coordination. That's coming eventually, but in the near term, what do you think would be most beneficial in terms of promoting this idea, other than, you mentioned like having it on the town's website, announcing that the committee exists, but to get the momentum behind it ahead of time, what would be helpful from the town, from the board, from anybody?
Go ahead, Frank.
I would say, with the blessing of the town, of course, but I would say that advertise, putting this committee together to form this group and having the town back us, maybe meet at the police station. In a, someplace that is easy to get to, and welcoming. I mean, something like that, and then we can start bringing vets in and non-vets. I think a committee of 9, of which 6 vets and 3 non-vets. Start building from the ground up like that. It's probably gonna be 6 months or a year before we get that off the ground. But with the town blessing, and maybe we don't have to, maybe we're asking for something that the town can't do, but I think with the blessing of the town is important. But I think that is, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking too about how you communicate with the community at large. I mean, I don't know what
Well,
what
we
you guys
have a
think is.
public relations people that work for us, correct? I mean, that would be certainly an avenue where, whether we are doing articles, you know, a short blurb in the newspaper, or, you know, I know that with the Eastern Essex vets, veterans are complicated people, you know, some of them, they only wanna read a letter that's printed on a piece of paper, where some of them are into, Facebook and all that other stuff, so it's a wide range of how veterans like to communicate with each other, and that's complicated, it really is.
Our VSO may have a mailing list.
Oh, yeah.
Registered vets
Yeah.
in the community. We could also start with that.
Yeah. Last question, do you, in your experience, are there a lot of veterans that are, Newbury veterans that are using services or going to events or attending things in Newburyport, in Raleigh, is it, okay? So part of the outreach would be to go to those events and explain, you know, I'm sure they'd welcome you to say, hey, we're starting something in Newbury, okay.
And Bill, I just wanna add too, most of the things that I envision us doing, we certainly are not gonna jump the chain of command. So as far as like you being on the Essex Veterans Committee, you would be definitely a focal point between what we're trying to do and, you know, what we do there also,
yeah.
you know, so.
Okay. I didn't realize that Leslie had joined. Okay, Select Board Member Leslie Matthews had requested to participate remotely because of physical attendance would be unreasonably difficult tonight under 940 CMR 29.10(5) due to a recent medical procedure. From this time forward, all Select Board votes taken during tonight's meeting will be by roll call vote. Leslie, do you have any questions for Dana and for Frank?
Can you hear me first of all?
Yes, we can.
Okay. The only thing I have to say is 2 things that come to mind as far as like, you know, a temporary location would be the BCAC or the Pitta Hall down on Plum Island, so that you would have a private informal place for the veterans to meet.
That's a good
I
point.
think
Very
it's a
good.
I think it's a great idea.
This is my turn. Being a veteran, I think it's a great idea, okay? I especially like the calendar, because I think, and I think you know this, in this town, certain events happen and that not communicated to everybody, and the same people attend and no one else is invited, kind of, okay? So I think if that disappears, we'll be in great shape. How many vets are in Newbury today?
Oh, I have no idea.
Last count, there were 309.
That's
Okay,
a
and
lot of, that's a lot.
Steve has a list, he's on vacation this week. I had asked him if he could come here tonight, Dana, just to hear what you had to present. And I was gonna suggest to you that you and Steve get together, because when I read your mission statement, as you said, there are many things that Steve does as VSO, and you're not taking them away from him, you're trying to augment him and help him, so on and so forth. I totally get that, okay? I got a couple of pieces of information for you. I see you already got something on the town of Wenham. They have a Veterans Committee already, and I have a sheet that has their objectives, membership, finance, administration, activities and meetings. You have it. And also I have one from the town of Grafton, similar setup, okay? And I know that part of the things you'd like to do is take care of plaques at the cemetery, so on and so forth. I ran off a copy of chapter 115, section 9, which is establishes the Veterans Graves Officer. So if you take these, they might help you out a little bit.
Thank you.
but not probably all that much, but I think you and Frank have a daunting task. I think it's very worthwhile, and I think that, we're not gonna vote on it tonight, but I think we should definitely take it under advisement, okay, and really seriously have you come back as you refine it, more of the structure of the team and operating procedures, kind of, we can get more concrete about it and come back, you tell me when you're ready.
Okay, thank you.
Bill, one last question. Tracy, how does a nonprofit interface with the town?
They would be, if they wanted to go the 501c3 route, they would have to apply for that. That would be separate and distinct from the town. It wouldn't be a town committee, it would be a separate
So
non-for-profit.
they would be a separate committee.
Just as the Council on Aging is the Council on Aging, it's a town committee,
But they have
and then
the
the Friends
of
are a
the Council on
501c3
Aging.
nonprofit.
Dana's talking about a committee, which isn't, would have to have then friends of the committee.
If they wanted to have some
If they
support
wanted
from
a
a
nonprofit,
nonprofit, it would
right.
be separate. I
Depending on which way you decide to go after you evaluate all the paperwork that you're looking at, you
I
can
was
go
just
one way
curious,
or
cause
the
it
other.
didn't sound
Yeah.
like a straight path.
I think fundraising might be the issue that would distinguish one position from the other.
Yeah, I think.
Alicia, you had something else?
I'm just thinking, and it came to me just now, I don't know how, but the garden club, like the Newbury Garden Club, they're not part of the town, but they have, and I don't think they're a 501c3. I think you just join them and they meet, I don't know where they meet. I know they've donated things to the town, you know, here, there and everywhere, but I think I've, as Dana alluded to, I've been on both sides of the committee. I've been trying to form a committee, and if it's almost gotta form before you can create it, because otherwise you don't have, one person does not a committee make. And two people, your jobs will get daunting very, very quickly. So I almost like say we should kind of start it and see how it goes. And, I mean, you've got the legwork done here, I think augmenting, working with like the veterans agent here in town. And just, my advice is to start small, and then grow it up. And then we'll see how it goes, and then once you get a big group, you know, we can see which way it will go better. And you may decide that you wanna do a 501c.
Yeah, I have another, I got an email here, and, is Deborah Egan still the town administrator at Raleigh? This Bob Breaker sent her an email, and I'm pretty sure, I gotta do my homework a little better, but I'm pretty sure they have a 501 established already. And he requested an account within the town's budget for donations to go into. And I don't know how that all works together, but,
You have some homework.
Two separate, I know, two separate entities maybe.
yeah.
You can establish a gift fund if someone made a donation and wanted it to be used for veterans purposes. We can establish a gift fund.
That's exactly what he requested right here, is a gift account.
Yeah.
So there's different ways.
Where you get all the money.
I think, we can start by growing it up. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That's all.
Great job.
Thank
Great
you.
presentation, great ideas, thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
both.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you
time
very
tonight on this hot evening.
You got a long meeting ahead of you.
Stay cool.
right.
Thank you.
All right, next was a public property use request by Vanessa Iasman on behalf of Gene Geiger Crisis Center to hang a banner on the baseball field backdrop from Monday, September 23rd to Monday, October 6th for the 34th Annual Walk Against Domestic Violence in Newburyport on October 5th. You're here.
It's pretty straightforward.
Please introduce yourself and we
Hi, I'm Vanessa Erzman. I work with the Jeannie Geiger Crisis Center. I'm both a resident of Newburyport and employed there, and my mother-in-law is a resident of Newbury, so nice to meet you all. And so it's just a request to hang a banner for a couple of weeks promoting the Walk Against Domestic Violence, which is in its 34th year. And it's a great time. We had around 400 folks come out last year to walk with us. It's a fundraiser, but it's free to the community. We got kids' activities, food vendors, And you get to hear some great remarks from a lot of people in the community and some survivors as well.
Have
So,
you put a banner up before?
yes.
Yeah, good.
Last year was, I just completed a full year with the organization, so last year we've been doing it for a while, I think, but
Yeah.
that was my
This
job.
is-
Thank you very much for coming out on this hot night
Vanessa,
to talk
are
to us.
they, where are they located now? Where's headquarters?
So our development and admin office is on Harris Street next to the library in Newburyport. And then we have an office for survivor services for adults and children and our youth development work in Amesbury, and 2 offices in Lawrence for our intimate partner abuse education program as well as our children's services.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's have a motion.
Motion to accept.
I'll second that.
Any discussion, Jeff? Any discussion, anyone? Leslie, any discussion?
Nope,
All right, roll call vote. Jeff Walker?
Yes.
Bill DeMayo, yes.
Alicia Greco, yes?
Patrick Heffernan, yes.
Leslie Matthews, yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, stay cool.
Stay cool.
Okay, next is a Byfield Community Arts Center 2025 calendar year entertainment license. Anyone here from BCAC? No. This is the entertainment license that Dana Packer noted we did not have from the Byfield Community Arts Center, and that's what initiated the request for it. So it is for 2025 calendar year, even though it's almost July, but it's here now. I'll need a motion.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Second,
Any discussion? A roll call vote, Jeff Walker,
Jeff Walker, yes.
Bill DeMayo, yes.
Alicia Greco, yes?
Patrick Heffernan, yes.
Leslie Matthews, yes.
Okay. Notification from John Harnett of John D. Harnett and Son Incorporated that an anonymous donor would like to hire his company to repair the roadway to the east of the Plum Island Bridge. The work would include filling and grading the potholes with the board's choice of recycled concrete or recycled hot top. So, Steve,
Well, let me make a motion. Motion.
sorry.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Okay.
discussion. Someone else can start the discussion, I'll fill in later. Jeff, anything?
Okay, put me on line. The concept of having a utilizable space like there is on the other side of the bridge does not offend me, depending on how it's done, and Hardit always does a good job. I think probably people will use it to park and walk, and it could be a safety hazard, but like, it doesn't bother me if it goes through Concom, if it's legal through town council and our town administrator. I think it's space that is not used a lot of different places, and I'm a marsh guy, I see people giving up space and returning it to marsh, and I think it's an important thing to do, but sometimes I think some places that it's almost giving things up too quickly. I mean, the parking lot there, if people are using it to watch birds, do all the things you can do besides just a parking place, might not be a bad thing.
Alicia?
Is there an issue with the Conservation Commission with this? Have they gone through?
They met on the 17th and
Okay.
they basically tabled it because they didn't know whose property it was. Is
Yeah.
it the town's, is it the state's? So they said they need to find out who actually owns the property before they can do anything.
Subsequent to that, I think it's town property. It's been
It is town property,
it's
yeah.
I
been checked.
mean, it's where the old bridge was, which
Correct.
we owned, so
Correct.
it should be town property. So that's what those things are, that's where the old bridge went when they put the new one.
I still think we should table this. I'm gonna move to table this until the Conservation Commission gets its approval. If that's-
Yep, that's, makes
I
sense.
think I hear you, I think
We were discussing it, that's
Yeah.
what Bill wanted,
the intention was that the
couple of different.
conservation agent and DPW director would witness the actual work being done. And they would also decide which was the right material to use between the two. So I was thinking, rather than table it, we could approve it going forward, knowing that conservation would weigh in after the fact.
DEP will be a factor. Will be a huge factor.
It'll have to
So-
go through process.
So with this,
Notice of
this
intent.
road, right, if I understand where it is correctly, when you head out onto the island and you're heading due east, cause you're going east, on your right-hand side, there's a little off type of a thing that's
Just like on the other side.
kind of crummy, for lack of a better word. It's crumbly and,
Potholes,
yeah.
yes.
Is it already paved? Is it already disturbed?
It's not, I would call it disturbed, but it's not paved, no.
Okay.
So the Concom would have to determine what materials are appropriate, and it would have to go through the permitting process. As Selectman Walker said, DEP would likely have some involvement. So we'll go through that process first. And then we would make a commitment, the town, to have department managers, conservation agent, DPW director on site while the work was being performed, if you chose to accept it.
Okay. I also want to comment about the anonymous donation. I think a lot of people are anonymous when they make donations because we are on TV. But there's really no truly anonymous donations to the town of Newbury. We know who, you know, the check is written by someone. So, I'm not concerned by an anonymous donation because I think we'll figure out who actually is doing it. But I guess, so if you want to, rather than table it, you want to approve it?
That was the old bridge, and that's when they were constructing the new bridge, and then they knocked the old bridge down.
And this
Hence the two spaces
this
on
is
each
the-
side.
This is the roadway that leads down to the flagpole monument
Right.
to the Vietnam veterans, or on the other
On the
side?
other side of the bridge,
Side, okay.
yes.
Yeah.
I have a question. Sean McElroy, 89 Main Street. Okay, so I guess my question is, I understand that this is gonna be funded through an anonymous donor. That's all fine. It's great that somebody's doing this probably. We don't know whether the property is town property, so.
It is town,
Town
it is
property.
it is town
That's been
property.
determined.
Okay, and then the third question I would have is, if there's work being done on town property, don't we normally send that out once it's approved for bid? I mean, is there any reason why a specific contractor has to do the work?
We're not paying for it.
Yeah.
It's a
That's the
donation.
reason, yeah.
It's a voluntary.
It's a voluntary thing.
Okay.
It's not public bid.
And the contractor is a resident, the contractor that's doing this is a resident of Plum Island himself.
Okay, I was just looking for clarification.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chair, I have a question.
Leslie,
The other side, so the west side, who owns that property and is it paved or does it have a recycled substance on it?
It's definitely not paved.
It's paved.
It's not,
Yeah.
it is paved?
Yeah.
It is paved? Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was, it's not gravel?
Oh, it's paved.
Well, to me, it all looks like grass.
Pavement.
So I can tell you, so the bridge, the parking lot that's on the west side of the bridge is paved and is used regularly for a parking lot, whether it's fishermen, bird watchers, anyone deciding to walk down. I can tell you, so then the east side of the bridge, so the Plum Island side of the bridge, is potholes and sand and everything now, but that doesn't stop people from using it as a parking lot and walking down. So one is paved and paved relatively nicely, the other one is not. I hope that helps.
It's not resident parking, right? Is it
There's no determination for
open
parking
parking?
on either side.
But it is currently used in its existing condition.
It's
People
both
park
sides
there
are-
and walk to the beach from there.
Yeah, so both sides are currently used for a variety of
And they use
reasons
it
as a
to
parking
access the
lot.
marsh and, you know, sometimes slip a canoe in.
Yep, yeah.
So like I said, there's a host of reasons why people are parking there, but
Fishermen.
one side is, I would say, functional, and I would park my personal car there. The other side, I would say, is not functional, and I would not park my car there, but people do.
Thank you. All right,
So,
So you have a motion and a second to accept it, and then you
I
talked
don't
about
think
tabling it.
I don't think I got a second.
You did not.
I'll second the motion to table, cause I feel like we don't,
If I could ask one more question, please? If the town knows who the anonymous donor is, is it part of the public records that anybody could go in and put a request in to find out who it was?
We do not know who, I don't know who the
As of right
anonymous
now, we
donor is.
haven't received the donation, so we don't know who.
Okay. But if you do receive the donation, would it be under the purview of a request for public record?
I would think so. I mean, everything we do with the town is subject to public records request. All right, so Patrick, you said,
yeah, my only hesitancy is that we don't need to make the decision now, and the Conservation Commission definitely had a lot of questions amongst themselves about primarily about the ownership, which I guess that's been decided, but also about the surface, and so, I mean, I'm all for waiting until they've actually made a decision, because we don't have to make the decision now, and it gives us more time to think about the other decision, which is who gets to park there, which I think was a legitimate concern.
yeah, okay. So we should be, any more discussion about your motion to table it?
I
I
have,
will
you said,
say one thing, if it starts to take on a life of its own, the other one seems to operate pretty laissez-faire. I don't know of any problems, Patty, is it an issue all the time to you? But if it starts this side, starts to, only certain people can park there, and if it gets to be that kind of stuff, I'm against it.
If there is discussion about how the space is used, I would like to be a part of that conversation, because my primary request would be no overnight parking. The one thing that we see a lot is, overnight, that's where we're primarily checking those lots, is on our overnight shifts, and that's where we run into issues, is when we're telling people to leave the space that doesn't have a sign that says no overnight use. So that would, in a further discussion, if it comes up, that would be my one request, and whether that's, however that decision gets made, I would like to see, now knowing that it's town-owned property on both sides, that whether we pave it or we don't, that's what my light bulb went off on, and saying it's town property, can we make it so there's no overnight parking?
And just to help answer Leslie's concern, it looks like she logged out. Leslie, you still there?
Yep.
The letter that was submitted from John Harnett said, "We have a customer who wishes to remain anonymous who would like to hire us." So the donation would be going from the anonymous person to the contractor who's volunteering his work. The check would not be coming to the town.
Okay.
Would that be correct, Tracy? Okay,
Makes it sound different, yeah. But the Conservation Commission would still, would they make the final decision on what if it would be hot topped gravel, or, so would it be impervious or would it be impervious?
they'll make that decision, and if we vote to table it, it'll force that decision. Okay?
Okay,
All right, I guess we're voting for the tabled motion. Jeff?
Yep, vote the table.
Bill DeMayo, yes.
Alicia Greco, yes?
Patrick Heffernan, yes.
Leslie Matthews, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Steve, you can go now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, you can stay. You can stay. All right, now we're into fiscal year 2026 board and committee appointments. My hope is that to streamline this process, because I don't really want to look forward to a roll call vote for any one of these nominations, I'd like to have a motion that would allow me to read the appointments. If anyone has a hold on any one of the appointments, we'll mark it and discuss it after the fact, and then vote on them as a packet, and then vote on the ones that were checked. Could I have a motion?
I move that we take the fiscal year 2026 board and committee appointments as a consent agreement, I guess, and agenda, and hold any ones that we're interested in and that we want to hear or to have discussion on, and then vote on them in one roll call vote at the end.
Second, does it have to be a roll call vote?
Yeah,
It
because
does,
Leslie's here.
because we're remote. We're remote.
So I think we have a couple of members too here that are
Yeah, we do.
interested, so,
So I think we come to them pretty quick,
okay.
the second on the list. So we have a motion and a second. I need a vote, a roll call vote to accept that motion.
Jeff Walker, yes?
Bill DeMayo, yes?
Alicia Greco, yes?
Patrick Everling, yes.
Leslie Matthews, yes.
Okay.
Could we have a quick discussion on that, just for clarification? So as you read through all of this, as I'm trying to look at the paper, it's a little difficult right now, but, so everything is broken down into, the specific categories, so that's how it'll go?
I'll read them by category and the names,
Okay.
and, okay?
Yep.
All right, Agricultural Commission is a reappointment, John Nutile,
Newtown.
Nutile, 3-year term. Second, Border to Boston Trail Committee, Kristen Grubbs, David Brohl, John Regan, Jim Dooling, and Sean McElroy. You're both here?
I'm Sean.
Sean, okay.
So we have Sean Dooling,
Sean.
Sean McElroy.
Sean
Sean
McElroy.
Jim
McElroy.
Dooling,
Jim Dooley.
Capital Planning Committee reappointment. Nicholas Oram, 2-year term. Conservation Commission reappointment. Robert Connors, 3-year term. Anthony Conti, 3-year term. We got a resume for Harry Trout III, which would be a new appointment to the Conservation Commission, 3-year term, replacing Diane O'Brien, whose term expired in 2025.
And I'd like to thank Diane O'Brien. Sorry, Bill.
Council on Aging reappointments, Janine Cunningham, 3-year term, Josephine Antico, 3-year term, Chuck Bear, 3-year term. Cultural Council reappointment, Robin Lawson, 3-year term. Cultural Council new member appointment request, Barbara Call, 3-year term. Finance Committee reappointment, Richard Keys, 3-year term. Finance Committee new member appointment requests, Steve Kenny, 3-year term, Amy Crouch, 3-year term. Historical Commission reappointment, Jan Forrest, 3-year term, Eva Jackman, 3-year term. Human Resources Board reappointment, John Ferrara, 3-year term, Anthony Antico, 3-year term, Diane Doyle, Employee Representative, 3-year term, Patricia Fisher, Employee Representative, 3-year term. Local Historic District Committee reappointment, Joy Michaud, 1-year term, Elizabeth Paliga, 2-year term, Lon Hackmeister, 1-year term, Robin Etheridge, 2-year term. Merrimack Valley Planning Commission. Kristen Grubbs, 1-year term to serve as the town's commissioner at the recommendation of the planning board. Peter Pecos, 1-year term to serve as the town's alternate commissioner at the recommendation of the planning board. Open Space reappointment, William Hoffman, 3-year term. Christina Hoffman, 3-year term. Sean McElroy, 2-year term. David Powell, 1-year term. Michael Carbone, 1-year term. Jim Dooling, 2-year term. Planning Board Associate Member appointment, Mary Stone, Associate Member, 1-year term at the recommendation of the Planning Board. Recreation Committee reappointments, John Regan, 1-year term. Michael Crouch, 1-year term. Mark Zant, 1-year term. Mary Anastasio, 1-year term. David Broll, 1-year term. Daniel Jones, Triton Regional High School Representative, 1-year term. Cindy Currier, Council on Aging Representative, 1-year term. Zoning Board of Appeals reappointment, Eric Spahn, 3-year term. And I think I will stop there before the police department appointments.
Motion to approve, as read. Or you
Second,
want something different?
That's fine.
second.
Any questions? Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Jeff Walker,
Jeff Walker, yes.
Bill DeMayo, yes.
Alicia Greco, yes?
Patrick Heffernan, yes.
Leslie Matthews, yes.
All in favor?
No, we all said yes.
Oh, we said yes.
Roll
All
call
in favor
vote.
of us saying yes.
I should have gone home with Steve Manchin.
Bad parties, I put my hand up, Phil, so.
Okay, police department appointments. These are 1-year terms, 7/1/25 to 6/30/26. Robert Adams, Reserve Police Officer. Robert White, Reserve Police Officer. Sally Palin, Police Administrative Assistant. Ted Dillon, Reserve Police Officer. Jay Routhier, Special Police Officer. Could I have a motion?
Motion to appoint.
Second,
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Jeff?
Jeff Walker, yes.
Bill DeMayo, yes.
Alicia Greco, yes?
Patrick Heffernan, yes.
Leslie Matthews, yes.
3-year term, July 1st, 2025 to 6/30/2028. Alexander McMullen, full-time police officer. David Evans, deputy EMD. Emmanuel Terrero, full-time police officer. Jason DeCunha, full-time police sergeant. John Baker, full-time police officer. Max Miglisi, full-time police sergeant. Nathan Hunter, full-time police officer. Stephen Jenkins, full-time detective sergeant. Stephen Smith, full-time police sergeant. Can I have a motion?
Motion to appoint.
Second,
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Jeff Walker, yes.
Bill DeMayo, yes.
Alicia Greco, yes?
Patrick Heffernan, yes.
Leslie Matthews, yes.
Okay. Review and approve 1-day liquor licenses. Sarah Blackstone, on behalf of Ipswich Ale Brewery, Essex-based ball organization event at Spencer Pierce Little Farm, 5 Littles Lane, Newbury, on July 13th, 2025, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. What I'd like to do with this is to
Insert the
get a
dates and
vote just to
times.
insert the dates
In time.
and times. Could I have a motion?
I move that we take them as one, just read the dates and times.
Second?
Second,
Roll call vote.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Jeff Walker?
Jeff Walker, yes.
Bill DeMayo, yes.
Alicia Greco, yes?
Patrick Heffernan, yes.
Leslie Matthews, yes.
Okay, so the first one is July 13th, 2025, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. July 20th, 2025, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. July 27th, 2025, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. August 3rd, 2025, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. August 10th, 2025, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. August 26th, 2025, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Jeff?
Jeff Walker, yes.
Bill DeMayo, yes.
Alicia Greco, yes?
Patrick Heffernan, yes.
Leslie Matthews, yes.
Town Administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we conducted recently a review of all the meeting minutes posted on our website. And what we found was it indicated some of our boards and committees were behind in their postings. So they have all been notified, and we hope to see that most of them will become current in the very near future. Some of them have already complied, but we typically around this time each year, we try to give a look and make sure that everyone stays current with the open meeting law. So more to come on that. The library collective bargaining agreement has been fully executed you discussed it at your last meeting and the Teamsters have signed off. So that is in place effective July 1. Some project updates will be kind of turning our efforts to completing the Newbury Elementary School roof project and beginning to address the renovations and repairs identified in the Habib and Associates Interior Conditions Report. We'll also focus on both the Newbury Elementary and the library HVAC projects. We did have a meeting last week with the superintendent and the principal of Newbury Elementary School with the DPW Facilities Director, James Surratt, to try to identify those areas that were of most concern for them and to start addressing those first. And the other project is the Morgan Ave Fire Station project. I understand there's been concern expressed by some residents that we're gonna be putting significant amounts of money into that building, where it's probably outlived most of its useful life at this point in time, but absent of, you know, a capital project to build a new one, you know, it's in such poor condition that we really need to address it. We tried to wait for a little while in the hopes that we could move something along, but at this point in time, I think we've really got to, there are serious issues that have to be addressed. So we'll be working on those. The website project is underway. Pre-launch meeting was gonna be scheduled for Tuesday, July 1st. The project scope is complete, and we're hoping to launch the new website sometime before the end of July. Fingers crossed, that's the plan. Sadie Woodward is joining our Newbury team as the new assistant town planner. She will start also on July 1st. And she comes to us with experience working as a climate policy specialist with the Ipswich River Watershed Association. She was an assistant project manager with Holland Moscow Corp. In Newburyport, working primarily seeking planning board approvals for some of their projects. And she worked right here in the Newbury Planning Department as our planning and open space intern. So she'll be starting with us
Could you
soon.
repeat that,
Welcome.
just the beginning? I didn't hear the name and what was going on.
Sadie Woodward, she's agreed to take the assistant planning
Good. Okay.
planner position. Yep. Mass DOT has notified us of the approval of the heavy commercial vehicle exclusion adopted by the select board quite some time ago. It's been a very long process, but the permit is now in place and the DPW will be ordering and installing the signage on the Lockwood Road
Bridge.
for that exclusion. Yep. Mass DOT has also notified us of overnight bridge work. You may have seen some of it, paving on Route 1, which is ongoing and should be completed by the 27th of June. They work primarily from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. So
Don't drive over that bridge.
yeah,
Oh my God.
yep. We still have, despite all the appointments that you made this evening, we still have openings on the Agricultural Commission, welcoming people to the to Boston Trail Committee, Conservation Commission, Council on Aging, Cultural Council, Historical Commission. There's positions on the Human Resources Board. I believe the Planning Board's still seeking an associate member unless they've.
No, that was
So
filled.
did that,
Yeah.
you filled that, okay, so scratch that one. So anyone interested is certainly encouraged to contact the select board's office for details.
Is there one list of all of the openings?
They're all on the website under our opportunities section.
Oh, okay.
Yep, so
Okay.
they should all be up
Under
there.
opportunities, okay.
Yep, and I'll make sure that other one gets taken down. I don't know if you've seen the MMA announcements, they're outlining their municipal budget pressures and their local aid hearings are ongoing. The conference committee begins their deliberations now. Alicia, you're probably more familiar with this than any of us.
Policy committee, something, collective bargaining committee. I was on the fiscal policy committee, but not anymore.
Not anymore. So basically, I mean, it's nothing that we don't know. Property taxes are capped at below inflation levels with Proposition 2.5, and local receipts naturally are limited. So mandated increases in costs, contractual obligations, health insurance, we all saw that this year in our budgeting process. Changes to the Chapter 70 aid formula, school transportation costs, they're all outpacing our municipal revenues, we know this. But they are hearing us, and I think they're taking these things up, and at least in the conference committee, so hopefully they'll continue to deliberate and we'll see some
I
relief.
think we have a good chance this year. I think if we don't do it this year, it'll never get done. But I think there was enough small communities like ours that are feeling the pinch. And it's pinching hard.
For sure.
I have a bridge to sell you too.
I know. You've been telling me that for years, Jeff.
Well, we can hope, and that's it, that's all I have for this week.
Question, could we backtrack just for a quick minute?
Yes.
Just wondering, the renovations and updates that need to be done to Morgan Ave Fire Department, do we have a detailed list of what those would be?
Yes, we do, we have a complete report by an engineering firm, yes, detailing them.
Last year, right?
Might have even been the year before, yeah, yep.
We
I'm
started
happy to
out
send
with
that
the-
off to you if you'd like to.
With the plumbing, because it was the worst.
The plumbing is the priority, yes, yes,
Trust me, and it is bad.
yep,
Thank you.
yes, of course.
Okay,
Lastly, we could build a new fire station.
With,
I'll do it.
it's not on the agenda, Jeff. Meeting updates.
nice segue.
Meeting updates, Jeff.
None.
Alicia,
None.
Patrick,
None.
Leslie,
I guess, actually, I can update, it's really not really a meeting, but I think the board should be aware that, as you know, the town contracts with Mass Audubon to protect the plovers and the terns, least terns, on our public beaches. And, I took a walk down there with Selectman Walker and the town administrator on Saturday morning, and it is quite large what they have fenced off.
Explain it a little more. The fencing covers quite a bit of the available beach.
Right. So if the tide's low, there might be some room for you to walk on our public beaches. If the tide's high, not so much. So be mindful of it when you're going down to the beach. Check your tide.
How much longer?
Till they fledge,
But the problem is,
whatever that is.
Patrick, like they've already refledged once, the birds nest below high water, so if you get a high running tide,
Or a northeaster.
I mean, sometimes they re-nest 3 or 4 times. That'll be all the way through the end of August. Or August
These are
anyway.
not the smartest birds in the bird world.
Their cousin is a semi-permanent plover. Looks just like them. Lives in the marsh, flourishes. Not listed, smart, lives high.
anything else?
Sorry.
No, sir.
Tracy and I went to Whittier and Northern Essex Community College last week, Monday, last week for the ceremonial signing of the 11 municipalities that send students to Whittier. So that actually launched the Whittier Tech into the State Building Authority process.
Wow.
So you probably saw something in the Newburyport Daily News about that, and you'll see more to follow. Review and approve meeting minutes. Give a motion.
Motion to approve meeting minutes?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Jeff Walker,
Jeff Walker, yes.
Bill DeMayo, yes.
Alicia Greco, yes?
Patrick Heffernan, yes.
Leslie Matthews, yes.
I need a motion to sign warrants.
Motion to sign warrants.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Jeff Walker,
Jeff Walker, yes.
Bill DeMayo, yes.
Alicia Greco, yes?
Patrick Heffernan, yes.
Leslie Matthews, yes. Joy and I have already had a discussion on this, and
she frozen?
I think so.
While she's frozen, before we go into executive session, I would like to introduce Mr. Kenny. That's okay.
Oh,
He's
man,
gonna
I'm
be
sorry,
sitting
I'm so
on
sorry you
Finance
sat
Committee.
there.
Not at all.
I should have recognized you from when
I've
we,
enjoyed the meeting. Steve Kenny, Finance Committee nominee.
Okay.
thank you for stepping up,
Yeah.
okay? Thank you for doing that,
Thank you.
and thank you for staying. My apologies.
Leslie, can you hear us?
Good luck.
Yes.
Okay, we didn't hear what you said because you froze, so can you start over?
Oh, sure. Joy and I had a discussion, and before the end of Thursday, I will be able to do all my signing.
Oh, great, thank you.
Oh, the appointments, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, okay, great. Okay,
Okay,
now I have to read a statement that says a member participating remotely into executive session may participate in executive session, but shall state at the start of any such session that no other person is present and/or able to hear the discussion at the remote location, unless presence of that person is approved by a simple majority vote of the public body. So Leslie, I need you to state that, okay?
Yep, just closing the door. The only two set of ears here are my dogs. They're very tight-lipped. So, yes, Leslie Matthews.
okay.
So it's 8:07. And I think I can make the motion. I move to enter executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A and 21A2, to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel, specifically the chief of police. And Massachusetts General Law 30A, 21A7, to review for release and/or approve the following executive session minutes in accordance with Chapter 30A, 22FG, and to reconvene an open session to vote to approve and/or release said minutes if the publication shall not defeat the lawful purposes of the executive session. So we have to make sure we're not filming.
Yep.
Release the May 22nd, 2025 executive session meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Jeff? Phil DeMayo, yes.
Alicia Greco, yes?
Patrick Heffernan, yes.
Leslie Matthews, yes?
Great. Now, waiting for a motion to adjourn.
So
Did we
moved.
do a roll call vote after we left executive session? No.
No, we just did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
did.
we did.
Well, why do we do a roll call vote after, I
We just
forgot.
released the
Because
minutes.
Leslie's
Leslie-
remote, that's
Leslie.
why.
Yeah.
Keep forgetting.
Okay, I move to adjourn. I'll make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Second,
Roll call vote. Jeff?
yes.
Alicia?
Yes.
Bill,
Patrick
yes.
Heffernan,
Patrick, yes.
Yes.
Leslie?
Leslie Matthews, yes?
Excellent. All right, we have things to sign now.
Thank you.